would listen to things, but that's as far it went in our mentoring life because we didn't know we could hire it. And at that time, we couldn't afford it even if we wanted to. But yeah, we just learned things, research. Back then it was the newspaper, books, just trying to get things that we wanted to do and try to see who had done it and had succeeded and follow those, guidelines or whatever we would read. But yeah, we did it all on our own, just our own mindset of knowing that we did not want to do what our parents did and that we didn't want to be somebody else's employees. We wanted to be the employer. And we just stayed focused.
It sounds to me like when you establish that goal and you become almost single-minded about that goal, that is really how you're able to succeed. And the reason I keep harping on that is because I talk to a lot of potential students that want to join our program. I talk to many other people that want to do what we do. You and I do very similar things in terms of development and other types of acquisition and such. But I think it's when things get really, really tough, and they will get really, really tough, you have to be able to overcome it. And I think but it sounds to me like your why was strong enough. The why was strong enough that you really want to have a very different future and also a very different life than what your parents had. The same thing with me. I wanted something very, very different from when I grew up, which is why I devoted my entire life now to just doing what we do today. I think as the reason why, again, I harp on it, it's a very, very big part of seeing success all the way through. It has to be a big part of it.
100%. If you don't have that, you're not getting there.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, let's talk a little about your transition then. So when you transitioned from being that entrepreneur, selling off your portion of that company, and now you're flush with cash, what happened next? I think you mentioned some stuff. I know you at a very high level. How did you know that real estate was the place to be? And it sounds to me like you fumbled through to try to figure it out as well, right?
100%. So like I told you, from the very beginning that Bobby and I met, we always knew we wanted real estate. We always saw that real estate was, you're able to, if you do it right and you understand it, you're able to really create generational wealth. Bobby, for example, his parents always rented, right? So he always saw that landlord collecting rent every month, no matter what. The rent needed to be paid. So he always saw that in his mindset was, wow, this is a great business. No matter if the person has a job, doesn't have a job, if he's renting, he has to pay. And that landlord's collecting money on a monthly basis. And of course, you do have to evict some people and you probably won't get paid. But, majority of the times you're like, wow, he's collecting rent on a monthly basis and really not doing much for efforts, right? Because he owns a property and he's collecting. So he had that in his mind, but he really didn't know the business on its own. But as we started learning our business and our finance company and we understood business, we would research real estate and what it was. And we said, okay, we're going to do this. So like in 2003, we had enough cash saved, what we call stack and rack. You stack your money to rack it into an investment. So when we had enough of that stack, we said, okay, we're going to get into real estate. Let's try this out. We went in blindly, not knowing nothing about how to invest and how you were going to create generational wealth with real estate, right? We just thought it was going to happen magically, like a lot of people thought. Oh, you have money, you could put it in there, or have no money and get on real estate, which is not the truth. So when we got in it in 2003, like I told you, and we struggled because of the financial crisis, we learned a mistake that we went into an asset class that we did not understand, and we almost lost all of our money that we worked so hard for. At that point, we started really researching the real estate world, understanding how we're going to get out of here, what's going to make, what part of the asset management, or what were we going to do to be able to recover from where we were at, and then multifamily, of course, because we owned multifamily buildings, right, without the tenants per se, we started learning that, wow, wait a minute, multifamily is really the asset class that we want to invest in, because no matter what the market is, no matter what chaos is happening, tenants need a roof over their heads. They need a place. And apartment buildings, whether whether you're making money or not, like I said before, you have to pay your rent. So we were like, okay, wait, the asset class is a great one, because no matter what market comes across us, yes, would our cap rates reduce? Would the value reduce? But it's never going to be lost 100%, right? You're always going to have that asset. You're always going to have cash flow, whether it's to pay the expenses or not. But like right now, it's coming into a little bit of some turbulence is coming in with the rents and your cap rates and the valuations of the property, but it's never going to go to zero, right? So we were like, okay, this is an asset class that we know that we could create generational wealth and hold on to it, or buy and sell, or whatever the case, whatever strategy it is, but it's always an asset that's needed and that no technology will ever replace it. So we were like, this is what we want. And at that point, we went deep into it, started studying all the different asset class, all the different locations and what they meant and all that stuff. So we started with very small units so that we could understand the whole entire business structure. Property management, the heartbeat of this business. If you don't know how to property manage, no matter how good of a asset value you have, you could lose it all, right? Because if you don't know how to collect rents, if you don't know how to keep your asset in good condition, the maintenance, the whole 9 yards, you could lose it all. So we started small so we could understand the whole mechanics of the business aspect. That is just not investing. So we did that. And like I said, during this whole time, we keep on learning. We never stop learning, because right now we're in A class and it's a complete different management style. It's a different asset. It's a different location. It's a different debt that you have to get for these assets. So we're always learning, but we've learned so much during our journey, which again is what's allowed us to reach where we're at today.
I want to take a pause from today's show to share something that I've been encountering. As I speak to many investors, there's this concern, and the concern is centered around the inflation we've been experiencing and the devaluation of our currency. Now, we've seen some of the highest inflationary periods over the past 30 years. That's up over 8%. Economists actually believe that inflation is closer to 20%. Some say it's even more. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, it means that money that is sitting in your bank account or self-directed IRA that's not invested in physical assets that hedge against inflation are losing buying power. That means that every minute, every second, that dollar is becoming less valuable. You see this every day. You see this in the groceries you buy, the gasoline you buy, everyday items that you're buying on a daily basis are becoming more and more expensive, and you're using a less powerful dollar to buy these items, meaning that dollar is losing value, and if it isn't put into a property that produces cash flow, just like real estate does. Now, our team here at Bulletproof Cash Flow has put together a series of weekly webinars that cover real estate investing like multifamily, net lease, and real estate development. Now, these are purely educational webinars. In these webinars, we talk about why real estate offers a powerful opportunity right now, and why it makes sense to invest in these assets today. So if you're interested in real estate or want to have the opportunity to get involved as a hedge against inflation yourself, I encourage you to go to bulletproofcashflow.com/webinars. That's bulletproofcashflow.com/webinars. And you go there. These webinars are 45 minutes and they cover different topics every week. We go over the things you need to know to avoid some of the common pitfalls when it comes to investing, while getting you prepared to invest your paper dollars into a real physical asset. Now, if you can't make the webinars, just go ahead and register and we will send you a recording that you can watch at any time. And by the way, these webinars are entirely free. There's no cost to you. This is just something that we do to educate our folks out there. So if you're enjoying this episode, please like and subscribe to Bulletproof Cash Flow. It helps the channel tremendously when you do. Now let's go ahead and get back to the show. Yeah. You know what's funny is that something you mentioned, I've seen this happen in real life in terms of management and lining up the right property manager with the right asset. You know, there's managers, there's assets that I've looked at that I've actually bought where the property was on the cusp of falling apart. And what the previous owner had done is they put in an A-class manager in a C-class asset. And this doesn't work. You know, the A class is high touch in terms of like, but it's almost like hospitality almost. Where in a C class, you manage the C class very, very, very differently than A class, right? So
100%.
lining up the right manager with the right asset is absolutely critical. And then of course, within that, you know as well as I do, property managers, very rarely do I ever talk to anybody and they're just over the moon about the property manager. You know, unfortunately, they get the crap beat out of them a lot. And, you know, property managers are few and far in between. The good ones, I mean, good property managers are
I
few and
always
far in
tell
between.
everybody the heartbeat of investing in real estate, at least in multifamily, is the management. Whether you're doing it or a third party management is doing it, it's the heartbeat of the business.